So we're here. I'm so excited for this podcast episode. You guys, this is awesome. I've never had this many people on an episode before. This is amazing. Thank you all for being here. You guys are the best. You're some of my closest people. So this is going to be amazing. And we're going to be talking about one of our favorite things, the Enneagram, and just like all things Enneagram, talking about our types and like taking care of ourselves as our Enneagram numbers, like what helps us. And it's just going to be a fun episode where we're just hanging out. So why don't we go around and just introduce ourselves to the people? We can say like who's on the call. So I was thinking we could give our name, our Enneagram number, and like a fun fact about ourselves. So I'll start, and then whoever else wants to go in can go in. So I'm Abby, obviously. My Enneagram type, I'm a 1 with a 2 wing, and I'm an SX subtype, but I could get into the depth of that stuff later. But I'm an Enneagram 1, and that's also called the Reformer, or the Perfectionist, but I resonate with Reformer. And my fun fact that I thought of to share today is that my 2 front teeth are not real. And they I love the reactions. I'm just seeing like the heads like, what? My 2 front teeth aren't real. When I was like 6 years old, they got knocked out. Long story short, I was holding a dog's leash, and I was standing in a sliding glass doorway. The dog saw a person and ran, knocking myself into the door, and my teeth came out in my hand.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was crazy. And they were just coming into like my permanent teeth. I just lost my baby teeth, and they were my full-on adult teeth. And I'm like,
dang.
Oh. But it's okay. It is okay. I have crowns now there. So like some people I know, they have false teeth, and you can take them out. They can take them out and put them back in and stuff, kind of like a denture deal. That's not what I can do. Mine are like permanently in there. They don't come out. But anyway, so that's my fun.
I have a lot of questions about that.
Yeah, you could ask. Yeah. We could get into that. There's I had so much dental work done as a kid. Like it affected so much. I've had like 3 root canals, 2 in 1 tooth. What? I don't know.
Ooh.
Crazy. But anyway, yeah. So who else is on the call with me? We got 4 ladies in here all together today. I love it. Hair flip. Yes.
I can go next.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Hi, I'm Amy. I'm Abby's sister. My Enneagram type is the type 4. And let's see, I run the blog called Life with the King, lifewiththeking.com for anyone who's interested in that. Yes, plug that. Shameless plug. And I think the fun fact is the hardest question that you sent me. Can that be part of my fun fact? Because I really do struggle with thinking of fun facts about myself. Yeah, I don't know if that's a 4 thing or if that's just me or everyone. I don't know. But
Sure.
One thing I thought of was I really enjoy like working with my hands, and I've really enjoyed cooking and calligraphy during the pandemic. It's very relaxing for me. So yeah, that would be my choice there.
I love that. Cooking and calligraphy. What's that, alliteration?
Yes.
Yeah. Love that.
I'll go next.
Yay.
I'm Mariah. I'm a type 5 with a 4 wing. And my fun fact is that I'm 25 and I've never been on a date.
Oh, girl.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I love that you shared that. I love it.
It's been conversations a couple of times this week, and I think it's just so funny. Like I was just talking to my sister about it in the car the other day, and I just started laughing. It's so funny because I don't think of it as a big deal, but like other people are like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Insane. I just think it's funny.
Yeah, and you're like, nope, that's what I've done. It just hasn't happened, and that's okay. Yeah.
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 All right, guess it's my turn. Okay, so my name is Erica. I'm a Enneagram 6, and I actually am both wings, believe it or not. As
Yes.
crazy as that sounds. Good old indecisive Enneagram 6, but no. Anyway. So my fun fact, I don't know, I've been deciding between two because I have two
Just
things
say
going
both.
on in my head. Okay, I'm gonna
Yeah,
say
yeah.
both. So
Let's
the
hear it.
first one is, it's not exactly about me, but it's kind of about me. So my job, the juice shop I work at, I gave them the idea to launch a charcoal lemonade, and they took my idea
Ooh.
and they made it. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. Sorry, my
That's
phone like
awesome.
froze for a second, so I wanted to make sure you heard all that.
You're good. Yes.
Okay.
Every bottle
Okay,
sold
and
25 cents.
what?
Do you get commission for every bottle sold?
No. Well, it's not a bottle. It's just it's like a lemonade and like cup. But everyone's telling me I should get commission. But it wasn't my original idea. I don't know where I thought of it from because I looked it up online after and I was like, this isn't even my idea. It's a thing already. But I mean, they should give me some extra
Yeah.
money.
Some
But it's so
royalties.
good. It's so good. Like I'm so glad they took my idea.
Wow. I'm gonna try
That's
it.
pretty cool. Yeah, just come visit. You can try it.
Yes. Yes.
Or I can give you the recipe. I'm not supposed to. Anyway,
Secret sauce.
and so my next fun fact is, so I didn't ever see myself becoming a person who actually cared about cars, but I've been hanging out with a bunch of people who are car people. So like my new like interest and hobby is actually cars right now, and I'm getting this little Mazda fixed up, and I'm really excited about that. I never in a million years would have thought I'd be. I still don't consider myself a car person, but it's kind of interesting. Like I never would have seen this coming, but it's really fun. I'm having a lot of fun. So
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. I've seen your videos, like a bunch of TikToks and stuff like that. I'm like,
Mhm.
girl, wow. You're like doing it. You're doing
Yeah,
it.
it's wild.
Oh my gosh, the last TikTok that I saw where it's like you had the Caillou like quote.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that sound.
That
It
was so
funny.
good. It was so funny. Oh gosh. So yeah, you guys are also my closest people. I'm so excited that you're here. We're gonna dive into the Enneagram. So let's just like go for it. I want to ask this question. I'm just gonna like throw out some random questions throughout our time here, and like we can all chime in together, talk it out. But the first one that I have here is, what are some important things to you to keep in mind about your Enneagram type and what you need? This is a big one.
That is a big one.
It is. There's a lot. There's so much that we could say here. Like one thing that I thought of with my type, something that's really big, and it's just for every type really, but specifically for the one, is just like learning about the depth of grace. And like grace runs deeper still, right? And so just like knowing that I can just fully rest in Jesus. Like it's good. I'm good. And like grace, there's like so much to it. There's so much depth there. And yeah, just like resting in him fully.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Kind of along the same lines.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
You can go.
I was just going to say, kind of along the same lines, I was going to say for fours, knowing that our identity is in God is really, really key, because we get so caught up in our emotions and so caught up in what we feel is true. And it's actually really, really important and key to focus on truth in God and our identity in Him. And that really helps to ground fours, I think. So that's what I found for myself anyway. Just, yeah, remembering our identity is not in our feelings. It's not in, the situations that are going on, but it's in God and who He is.
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just hearing about like somebody talking, it was today in a video where an Enneagram coach that I was watching, she was talking about like 5s and 4s, and specifically just in that video. And she was talking about how the 4 is like very focused on identity, and like to know if you're a 5-wing 4 or a 4-wing 5, like there's these differences there, and like identity is a huge thing with the 4. And I was like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense with Amy, because I know that we talk about that a lot. You talk about it a lot, and we just like process that stuff together a lot. So I was like, okay, identity, that makes sense. So much sense.
Yeah. That's really funny, Amy, that you were talking about like how your emotions can lead you so much as a 4. Because as a 5, I feel like, I just even noticed this today at work, I am so detached from my emotions that like I think it's really important for me to like lean into my 4 when I can, or when I notice that I need to, just because I can be so analytical and so like blunt. And like today at work, we were dealing with like, I just got really frustrated because I was like, this is common sense, and like you people aren't listening, and like it's just not that deep. Like people don't have to think that deep about it. And I think something that I need to like remember for myself is that like I need to have more empathy for people who do experience emotions. Sometimes I forget that I have those.
Yeah. That's really good.
That's really good. Yeah. And I would say like just having somebody who it acknowledges that emotions are important is huge. Like for 4s and for I think all the heart types, I would say probably, I think just knowing that, you know, it's not something that is something to be ashamed of, but it's actually something to be just, you know, if we, you know, our friends, our heart type friends are ones that, you know, affirm that that's okay to have emotions, and that, you know, they're not going to leave us because of them or anything.
Yeah, I was thinking about that with like the 1 and anger, being in the anger triad. It's been brought up a lot. I've heard lately that like 1s, certain subtypes of 1s, there's a lot to it, right? Because like I'm a certain subtype, and then there are 2 other subtypes, 3 in total for each number. And my subtype, I am like the counter type of the 1, which basically just means I am a 1 at the core, but my actions, or I may not look outwardly like a stereotypical quote unquote 1. But anyway, just some 1s can think that anger is bad. Anger is wrong and should not be something that they, you know, really get into or react to. You know, it's like something that they kind of shame themselves for and would push away, rather than like leading into that and exploring that further. Like, why am I angry? What does this mean? You know, and knowing that it's not a bad thing to be angry. So for me, thinking about like what's important for me and what I've seen in my life to do that's been really important and helpful is like leaning into that anger and noticing what makes me angry, noticing what moves me, and not, you know, at all like shaming myself for that or anything, but like getting into that, and God is with me in that, and like teaching me things through what I'm feeling, through that anger, through just what's moving me more deeply. And there's this quote I want to read here about that. So it says, tears are a soft way of crying. Anger is a hard way of crying. And I read that. I was like, shoot, like that got me right at my heart. It was like,
that's good.
Yeah, it's a good one. So yeah, just like not shaming for any emotions. I hate emotion shaming. That's a whole other topic, but like it's so toxic. But yeah, like it's been important for me specifically, like being in the anger triad and things like that, to lean into that anger, see what moves me, because like there's so much to that, and God's teaching you there. There's so much in, you know, what you're experiencing. And also that anger doesn't equal meanness. I think that like that can be a thing that's correlated, and doesn't have to equal that. Like it's, you know, anger does not equal meanness. Anger in and of itself is not like a bad thing. So
yeah, it's even, I mean, Scripture gives us the example of Jesus getting angry in the temple, and you know, we're told in Scripture to be angry but do not sin.
Right.
I think I have heard people say that your emotions are like warning signs, or like they're I don't know, like signals for you. So you have to, like, figure out, like, you have to figure out what your body is trying to tell you through those signals of your emotions. And I think that's important too, to like not like specifically anger, like not to act upon your anger until you realize what it means. And then once you realize, you know, you can have your righteous anger, and then you're like, oh yeah, like this is something that's really important, like fighting for justice, or standing up for your friends, or whatever.
Yeah.
I think those are really...
Or yourself.
Or yourself, yeah.
Hey, plug to our episode. Yes. Yeah, Mariah, that's really cool that you brought that up. Excuse me, because I was thinking about that too. When it comes to this, is like an example, say that you see, you know, injustice in the world, but you're getting angry at that, but then you think, oh no, I shouldn't be angry. I shouldn't be feeling this way or reacting like this. So I'm going to just like push that aside. I'm not going to really do anything because I think that I'm wrong in this. Like I shouldn't be feeling this way, and like that's not okay. So I'm just going to kind of veer off. And it's like, no, right? Like pressing into that, like there's more to it. There's like more there, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And another thing that's been important for me is learning that there's so much gray, because I have had like black and white thinking. Ones can have black and white thinking, and it's definitely something that I have experienced before. But like learning and leaning into the gray, and that there are different ways of doing something right. Like it's not just one way. Or the highway, but it's like leaning into that 9-wing that I have, because I have a 1 as a 1, I have a 9-wing and a 2-wing. And so leaning into that 9-wing and just seeing that there are so many different thoughts and opinions and things like that, and they are valuable, and just valuing those things and knowing that like God has me like so completely, like there's so much grace and like rest to experience just in general, and like Jesus is the ultimate reformer, and like me being the reformer, I like partner with him and what he's already doing, and can know that like there's so much love for me no matter what, and you know, grace to have for myself and stuff like that. But yeah, like the black and white thinking has definitely been something I've noticed in myself in the past, and it's so freeing to like just be like, it's not so black and white, like there's so much gray. And yeah, that 9-wing, I'm like, I like you.
I love that.
Let me like circle back to something you just said that really stood out to me. You said that Jesus is the ultimate reformer and you can partner with him in reformation. I think that's really, I've never thought about that before. That's really cool, because we could say that for each of the different types, because you know, the Enneagram, each different type of the Enneagram is a picture of a character of Jesus, or a characteristic of Jesus. And I think that's really, really interesting. I've never thought about like partnering with him before. I think that's pretty cool. And I'm going to be thinking about that probably for the next year.
Good, yes. I love that. Yeah,
Awesome.
I love that you said that. Like, it's so true. Each of the Enneagram numbers, there's that thing that, like, Jesus is the ultimate, and we're all, like, partnering with him in this, in whatever it is. Like, I've heard it said before that the 9 different types are, like, the 9 different ways that the image of God is expressed through people. And my voice, my goodness, sometimes it just does that. I just have to work through it. Excuse me, but yeah, that just makes me think of that, Mariah, when you say that. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
something that I
exciting.
just learned through that is that each of the types remembers something perfect and beautiful about being in the Garden of Eden.
I love that.
I loved that too. And I was just like, that's exactly how I feel with my particular type. But then I told Abby about it the other day, and she was like, yeah, I feel the same way about, a perfect wholeness. Like, that's how it was in the garden. For me, it's like perfect beauty and restoration, and how everything was woven together as a beautiful tapestry. Like, it feels like I remember that about the garden, and every type has that particular like, no, things should be this way because I remember it being like that, or something.
That's deep.
In
That is
those
so
lines.
That
Yeah.
makes me want to cry. I love
I
that.
know.
Yes.
Amy, did you learn about, like, what that is for the 5 and the 6?
I did not, but I am happy to look it up after this call for you.
Okay. Yeah. That would be great. That would be great. Yeah,
Yes.
we talked about that the other day. Amy's going through the Your Enneagram Coach, like becoming an Enneagram Coach course, and she's learning all of these things, and it is so fascinating. And I'm like, Amy, teach me everything that you're being taught.
Yeah.
I love the course. I really have loved it so much. Yeah, it's great.
I also have that course, and I just haven't finished it. Mostly because as I was going through it, I don't know, I just, like, didn't really have anybody to, like, bounce stuff off of at that point.
Yeah.
So now I do, so I might go through and finish it and talk to you guys about it.
Oh yes, I'm
Yes,
all about it.
please
We're
do.
all about it. Yes. Me and Amy just watched one of the videos, like a deep dive into it. Was actually into the 5, and it's like a 40-minute long video that they just get into everything, or a lot of things. And so I was just like soaking it in, like, it's so fascinating. It made me cry at a couple of points. I was like, oh my gosh, Mariah. Like some other 5s that I know, or at least I think they're 5. They've got to be a 5. I don't know if they are or not. I don't know, but I think they are. So yeah,
That's something I've really loved about the course, is that it gives me so much compassion for every single type. Like I just listened to the 6 today, and I was just like, my heart, just like my heart goes out to every type when I learn about the inner workings of them and what makes them, fearful, what drives them, and what their childhood messages are. Like, that really gets me too. Just
same. Oh, that breaks my heart.
I know. And even in the coaches calls that I've been on, where my cohort of my class get together, we're still working on our childhood messages, and some of them are in their 60s, some of them are in their 70s, and they're still working out their childhood messages. And it's just really fascinating stuff. And I love how humans work in psychology and all of that. So this has been like such a dream to go through the course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've actually thought that the course has been much more valuable than any psychology classes I've ever taken.
Ooh, girl. Wow.
So just putting that out there.
We love the Enneagram. I think we're just trying to say that. We're like, wow.
Erica, did you get a chance to answer the original question?
No, now I'm lost. I don't know what
You want me to
it was
repeat it? I will
anymore.
repeat it.
Yeah.
You did. So it's just if I can find it here. Yeah. Wait, where'd it go? Oh my gosh.
I have it if you.
Okay, yes, please read
Okay.
it.
It's what are some important things to you to keep in mind about your type and what you need?
Okay. So as a 6, like definitely being able to be okay making decisions for myself and feeling like it's okay to not please every single person that is in the situation, as long as like I feel at peace and like I'm not just completely being selfish, but just like being like I'm okay with this decision if everyone else has to just deal with that. Because I've always struggled with that. Like really, it's been rough. But I've been working on it a lot this past year, and just like being okay with making mistakes, or if the choice I made was a mistake, just owning it and just being like whatever, I tried and that was that. I think that's one of the like couple of the main things is just that is just mostly just being okay with making decisions, and it's okay if they were good or bad ones. At least I made a decision.
Yeah, that's really good. Like just owning that and like, this is what I think, this is what I want, this is what I feel, and here it is. This is me. Like, and that is so good. Yeah.
And Erica, you're the oldest of 5 kids, so I feel like that's so monumental because when you have that many people in your family, you're like you that's what you want is to like be able to please everybody and make everybody happy. So it's so huge for you to like start to let go of some of that.
Yeah. It's been great. Like honestly,
very freeing. Sure.
Yes, it is. It is, and just like it really, I just can't even explain it. It's been such a nice journey. Like I feel like I'm knowing myself better than ever before, and it's just I'm so happy about that.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that so much.
Especially being okay with knowing like if I don't consult with every single person, like the world's not going to end and they're not going to hate me. They're not going to like get over it. Like life will move on, and like as long as I'm doing what I feel is right, like it's going to be okay. So yeah, it's definitely so freeing. I'm so happy. Thank you.
Hey, Erica, I've known you a long time. And just in this last year, I have seen that just like so much in you, and it makes me so like a proud little mom.
Oh, I'm gonna cry.
I'm just like so happy that the Enneagram has helped you so much with that and helped you do so much like of your own like self work. That's just really hard to do without a framework. So super awesome. I'm very happy for you.
That's really good. That goes along with what I have here. Hold on. Oh my gosh, my voice. I need to get some water. I've got it right here. Hold on. So I wanted to go into this because what we're talking about relates. So what do you think is one of the most important things to keep in mind about the Enneagram?
Just going off of what I just said, I think it's important to remember that it's a framework for knowing yourself better and learning different ways, learning the different ways that you perceive the world and that others perceive the world so that you can relate to others better, and also like kind of conquer the things that are holding you back, the pitfalls that you experience, that unless identified, you're going to continue the patterns. I have a quote.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever heard of the Enneagram magazine?
No.
It's a beautiful publication called the Enneagram magazine. Not sponsored.
Not sponsored.
My aunt actually gave me this copy. She had an extra copy just laying around, and she gave it to me, and I just loved that. It meant a lot to me. But there's a quote in here from, they interviewed different types And this is from the 7. And she says, I had a really good foundation in the church. I knew a lot about God, but I didn't know much about myself. And I think that that's really important to remember, because a lot of times we can feel, especially as Christians, we can feel like everything that we need to know comes from Scripture, which is so true. But that's everything that we need to know about God. And I think there's something really important about knowing yourself too, because God made you who you are, and like, how fun to get to know yourself. So the first time I read that sentence, I read it like 5 times, because I was like, oh my gosh, that's so good. Like, I feel like I have a really good foundation and that I know a lot about God, but I still feel like I'm just scratching the surface of knowing myself, which is not to say that like I am turning inward and like my truth is coming from myself. It's just that I think it's important to know yourself so that you can know God in a different way.
Yeah, because I feel like, especially in the Christian world, we're like expected like to throw yourself away in a way, and it's like, because if you know yourself at all, or you're doing whatever you want to do, it's like you're directly disobedient to God. And it's like, I don't think that's true, but like we've all been like through that. It's like your thoughts, your feelings, your wants, your needs like don't matter as long as you're following Christ, whatever. And that's just it's just bad, because we need to know ourselves, like, to improve ourselves and know what we need to work on and how to thrive. But because there's a difference between just like you being self-obsessed and you knowing yourself and
Being
like
self-aware.
Yeah.
Well, even like Abby, I feel like I might have talked to you about this before, because there's the verse of love your neighbor as yourself.
I was just thinking that, girl.
So that's why that you're gonna love yourself,
right?
But like, not that you're gonna see yourself as like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's so true. It's like you love yourself first before you can love somebody else, because you are knowing and understanding, getting to know and loving yourself, and knowing that you have so many layers, and then you're able to see that with somebody else and care for someone else in that way. And like, knowing yourself and loving yourself and understanding more about yourself, growing in grace and compassion for yourself, that's all a part of following Jesus. Like, that should not be something that, the church is separating, one from another or anything, that message shouldn't be there. But it's like, those are intertwined. Like, that's part of following Jesus, and like, he loves you so fully and completely and knows you so deeply, knows all of us and sees all of us and understands us. And so loving how he loves, it's all a part of it. And loving ourselves is huge, and knowing who he created, like knowing who he made you to be, the core of who you are, that's who he made you to be. And that is something that is so valuable and precious, and you have so much purpose and value and worth, and like, heck yeah, like, get to know yourself and loving yourself, because you are very much so worth that.
Yeah, because like through the Enneagram, I've learned so much about myself, obviously, and I've learned how to. Been starting to learn how to deal with things in a certain way over the last few years. And like, there was a situation like a couple weeks ago. I was so angry, like it was just so angry. And usually, like, I'll send a text to Mariah in our group chat or whatever to deal with it. But I completely self-soothed myself, and I dealt with it all on my own, which I never do. I always have to have someone else. I just have to tell somebody else, and just get either another opinion or just some like reassurance or whatever. But I completely dealt with it by myself. I didn't project it on anyone else. I like just dealt with it, and I was like out in public too. Like, I was out with my sisters, and like, I didn't give them. I mean, I maybe accidentally gave them a little bit of attitude, but I didn't mean to. But I like just dealt with it. I went out. I still made myself have a good time, and I just self self-soothe myself. And I was like, dang, this is awesome. I love that.
Yes.
I think, yeah, that's something that's really important too, is like knowing, like, if you are completely ignoring your patterns, then you're going to continue this, like, falling into the, like what I said earlier, falling into the same pitfalls. And also you're going to pass that on to, you know, the people that you're with, or like if you have children, you're going to pass that on to your children, the way that you deal with things. And that perpetuates, you know, generational curses, or just like dealing with things in a bad way, or abuse or whatever, because you're not getting to the root of the problem and not learning how to love yourself. So you're continually denying your innate need for love.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I really love about the Enneagram that it is a super like growth-minded personality system. Like it doesn't have you just sitting in one place and being just there. Like it does not put anybody in a box. It's like getting you out of a box and just like moving and growing. Like just I love how there's the integration part of the Enneagram, and like it's also called converging, right, Amy? Is that the same?
Yeah, converging path.
Yes. I that has been blowing my mind lately, how you pull from in integration, you're pulling from all three of your numbers. So your core number, and then the number you go to in stress, and the number you go to in growth. So you're pulling from the healthiest sides of like all three of those numbers when you're integrating. And I'm like, mind blown, amazing. So it's just so growth minded, and like there's so much freedom there. And I love that because it just shows the capacity that like God-given capacity that we all have to grow, and to there's just so much more to us, and there's like so much depth there, and freedom. It just is like freedom and movement and like growth and understanding, and I love that.
Yeah.
I think just realizing though that some people who don't understand the Enneagram as much could still see it as I'm just my number and that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And so what I really like to, or what I've been encouraged in my class to say to people is the Enneagram is not a sword or a shield. It's not something to, not a reason to not grow, and it's not an excuse not to change.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important because, you know, I've seen some people who maybe are, you know, just frustrated with where they are, saying, well, that's just the way I am. And, you know, I'm just going to stay the way I am, and kind of give the Enneagram as an excuse.
Yeah.
And when you go deeper into the Enneagram from a gospel perspective, it can really, really open you up. And it really is, to me, I like to think of the Enneagram as a mirror to really see a true reflection of where your heart really is at the moment, but also give you a path forward to be able to grow from that point.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
It's just like how we've been talking about, like uprooting the chaff, right? Like just uprooting the stuff that needs to go, and like seeing that, like you said, the mirror, being honest and like seeing these things, seeing what we can grow in, and all of that. That's really good. Yeah. So when it comes to like taking care of ourselves as our Enneagram numbers, because we're like gonna get into that today about taking care of ourselves as our types. What does taking care of yourself as your Enneagram type look like for you? I'll say something real quick. So, I know it's hard. It's hard when you're like on a podcast, on a, what is this? Zoom. It's not Zoom, Skype call, because you're like, I don't know which one's going to go first. That's okay. So taking care of myself, like I kind of was saying before, has a lot to do with resting in Jesus. And so the Sleeping at Last song for the one, there's a line in it, which I'm sure you guys know, but when he says, I've spent my whole life searching desperately to find out that grace requires nothing of me. So really just like fully resting in Christ and like knowing that he has me so fully and completely. And I could just like deep dive, like rest in him. And so that's a big part of it. And some more practical things, like, I don't know, I love being outside. So that's just like myself. And also, I guess, can be part of like being a one. It's like, I love nature and just like taking walks. Taking walks lately has been really, really nice. Just being out in the fresh air. And like, I'm also in that triad, in the gut or body triad, so it's really good to like get me in my body, you know, like it's just that walking and just being present, being in the moment, and like I love it. I love being outside. I love making tea. That's something I do all the time. I don't know if you've seen my Instagram stories, but
I love seeing it. It's so soothing to watch.
It is. It really is.
I'm so glad that's the point. Like, I love it. It's soothing for me, and I want other people to just like, you know, get a piece of that too. So yeah, get a piece of that too. I see other people doing that sometimes with, you know, if they're doing a video where they're making a little recipe, or they're, you know, pouring coffee and like cream into the coffee or whatever. And it's just relaxing. So anyway, I love making tea and drinking hot tea right now. Well, right now it's kind of cold. This side note, like Maryland weather, I know you guys are in different states, but the Maryland weather right now is just like up and down. Right now it's super cold and it's windy and there's like rain on and off. But it has been a lot warmer, and, you know, everything's blooming outside. It's really pretty. It's like spring. And then right now it's like 40s.
That's how it is here in North Carolina, too. It's the exact same thing.
Isn't it crazy? It's like, what do I do with myself?
It was this morning when I woke up.
What was it?
It was snowing this morning.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It snowed all like morning through the afternoon. It's supposed to be in the 70s later this week, though.
That's sad.
Okay, so it's everywhere.
The snow is sad.
That's nuts. Yeah, so super up and down. Anyway, yeah, that's something I just went on a tangent on, but it's true. The weather is like crazy right now, and but also, yeah, having alone time. This is a thing for me. I, for a while, had, you know, when you take like the Myers-Briggs test, I think it was, where they can like see if you're more introverted or extroverted. I was always a little bit more extroverted, and I don't know, the past couple of years I've felt like more introverted. And so like I just need that alone time. I need time to be by myself, and that's how I feel like I really recharge. Like I'm a sociable person, and I do like talking to people, and I really value deep connection. As the subtype that I am, the SX subtype, they like that subtype really values like deep connection with certain people that they feel like a connection with. And so I like really value and crave that. I'm like all about it. And side note, I think that Justin Bieber is also, whatever Enneagram type he is, I think he's an SX subtype, because I just feel it in my heart.
Oh my God.
He probably knows. You should ask him. You should send him a DM.
Yeah, I bet it was fun.
I bet he was. But anyway, so introvert versus extrovert, I've definitely felt more lately that introvert, you know, just me being more introverted and needing alone time to recharge. That's just like kind of my go-to. And so, Yeah, that's part of taking care of myself, is just like having that alone time and knowing when I need that, and just taking that time, just going being by myself, and because for a while I really haven't done that, and I've just kind of been around people and like do all the things and whatnot. But it's more self-reflection and just really knowing myself and knowing what I need more now, to know that like I just need to take a minute, or I need to take a while and just be. But again, also really do value those like deep connections and being, growing relationships with people. But when it comes to recharging that energy, some alone time is real good for me.
Yeah, for me as a 6, like, or just me specifically, I've always I've been bad about taking care of myself and like doing things that I want to do. Like I said before, it's like I've always been a caretaker, and I never really made time for myself and like even knew what that meant. So like that's something I've been working on too, and just like figuring out what I like and what I view as alone time. Because like unfortunately, like being at home, like I don't get a lot of peace and I don't get a lot of alone time. Just like have a big family and whatnot. And like so it's hard for me to get the alone time at home that I would like. So I've found other ways. Like I'll take a drive in the car and listen to music that I like, that no one else likes in my friend group or my sisters or anything. Like like that's another thing. Like I found music that I like and I'm passionate about, and it's okay that no one else likes it, and I'm okay with that. And like I what?
The band Camino.
Oh, yes, exactly. Exactly. So good. And then like one big thing that I did to kind of have some self-care and just be around people who I know love and care about me is I took a road trip all the way to Indiana to see Mariah and some friends by myself. I drove, which is for someone who used to have very bad driving anxiety, couldn't even drive on the highway. Drove all the way to Indiana and like had the best time, and that was like the most fulfilling thing I could have done. Like I just did it all by myself, and just other random ways like that I will just be taking care of myself the best way I can. And it's just been such a nice journey to find that and just do it without feeling like I have to apologize for it or feel bad about it, and that I'm allowed to have things that I like that no one else likes, and that it doesn't have to be like a group thing, because that's how it's always been in my life. I just kind of not like it's not hasn't all been bad, but like just having things that are mine for once has just been nice, and it's been good and healthy, and like I love it.
Yeah.
Love that.
That's awesome. That's amazing. So good.
Do you want to go, Amy?
No, you go ahead.
Okay. Honestly, I'm pretty glad that you asked this question, because it really made me like examine like where I am. And because like some things that are really important to me is like having a routine. I don't know if that's a 5 thing or if that's just a me thing. A side note, I don't know any other 5s. So I never know if it's like a 5 thing or if it's just a me thing.
Yeah.
So if there are any 5s out there,
let me know.
Let me know. I'd like to be a friend.
Yeah.
So I really like routine. And for a while, for like almost a year, I had a really, really solid morning routine, where I would get up. I still do. It's not gone. I have a coffee maker that, like, it has a timer on it. So like you just load it in the morning, wake up, you have fresh coffee. It's magical.
Yeah,
magical.
So I would wake up and I would get my coffee and I would like sit down and have my quiet time, and I had like different books that I was reading, and I would journal, which I'm not really a journaling kind of person, but I kept it up for like a year. So yeah, I mean, having a routine was super important, but then like I just recently moved across the country, so there are a lot of things that just like have fallen through the cracks. And I have been pretty unstable, not like mentally or anything. I just mean like I don't have a stable routine.
Yeah, you're good.
We would love you
Totally.
even if that was the case.
We would.
True.
We love you like you are.
Sometimes I'm feeling a little unstable, to be honest.
Yeah.
Don't we all?
Right.
Yeah. So, that's like I think the number one thing that really helps me is having routine. But also, like you guys said, like having quiet time just to recharge and like kind of listen to your body and like just to know kind of what's going on and look for triggers and stuff. I am a social subtype. And so I really like being in groups of people. I'm an introvert though, so that's weird. And so I like being in groups of people. I love group chats. I think that's the best thing that's ever been invented. And it's just like really important to me to like have a really solid like core group of people around me. So it's really, sometimes it can be really hard for me to like take time for myself to just like relax and not do anything. But also something that's hard that fives tend to do in stress is to self-isolate. So there's like, it's such a weird, like being a social five is just super weird and full of like anomalies. So lately I have definitely been self-isolating in an emotional way. Like I have been around people for a long time, like just people helping me move, people coming in and out of my house all the time. I have 2 roommates, so it's like I'm around people all the time, but emotionally, no one knows what's happening inside of me. And that's not good. So yeah, I'm gonna work on trying to open up more because I think that I don't understand my emotions, and that's why I try to hide them from people until I can understand them. But I'm not going to be able to understand them because I'm a 5 and I don't know anything about emotions. So thankfully,
I don't understand my emotions, but I feel like I never will. That's the difference. I'm like, do I even know what I'm feeling? Why I'm feeling like this? I don't know.
Erica and I have a really good friend who's a 4, and we have a group chat together, and I think she's pretty good at like helping us realize what we're feeling. And even if she can't like get to the bottom of it, she's like, it's okay, just let it happen.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Go ahead, 4.
So yeah, I think those are the biggest things for me. It's just like routine and feeling like I need to open up to people more, and that it's not. I feel like if I'm gonna open up to people, it's like something bad is gonna happen. Because I mean that I kind of do have a track record of people just like burning me once I open up to them. But the thing is, you have to just keep doing it until people don't burn you anymore. But also, people are always going to burn you because they're human beings.
True.
So you got to like for that. But
we're getting real right now, girl. What you're saying to me is like hitting me right here. Yeah, I feel like that too. Like I am not very trusting of people. Like I really am not. And I can be sort of like an 8 in this way, where I've heard it just described with an 8, where they don't let a lot of people into their castle. Like they're in this castle, they only let their bridge down for a certain few people, and then they go back up. And like that vulnerability can be really scary for them. And vulnerability can be really scary for everybody and is really difficult. And I definitely feel what you said. Like, there's just this certain few people that I'm like, okay, I trust you. Like, I trust you more. I'm like letting my guard down more with you. Like, you can come into the foyer of the castle, and then you can come even further in, and then, okay, you're all the way in. Great. It's kind of like a process sometimes. But
you know what's crazy for me? Like, I realize how, like, I will let someone in so, like, close, but, like, it's not actually close. Like, they don't know anything about me, or that's actually, like, anything. but like we're like super, super close. And I realize how much I do that. And it's kind of scary because like I'll have people in my life. It looks like we're the best of friends and we're super close, but that's not the case. Like, because I'll easily let people in my life. They'll be flourishing in my life. They'll just whatever, but like we won't actually be close. Like, and I'm kind of okay with that in a way. Like, because I have some close friends and like I'm good with that. And like, but like I realize I probably need to work on that because like it's just like the illusion of closeness, but it's really like it's not as deep as it looks. And it like some people like they don't really like deserve to get that close anyways. Because I don't know a lot of solid people that I'd want to let in, but like people who do deserve it, I need to like just let people in a little bit more. Like, it's kind of scary though.
I was just talking to our friend. I know she's listening to this.
Hey.
Hey.
I had a similar conversation a few weeks ago because I totally do the same thing. And I think, I mean, because a lot of people will be like, oh my gosh, we're like really close. And they don't know anything about me. But I know so much about them, and so that's what makes them feel close to me, is because they just tell me their whole life story, and they tell me everything about them, and they're like, oh my gosh, you know everything about me. This is amazing. We're so close.
We're best friends.
Yeah, best friends, but like they don't know anything about me, and it just doesn't like register with them that they don't know anything about me because they know like a few things. And I heard, I think it might have been Melissa Helser said this. It was either Melissa Helser, well, it could have been any of the Hillsong, Bethel women. But somebody said that there's a difference between vulnerability and transparency. And I mean, I probably heard that like 3 or 4 years ago, and I think about it every single day because I hated to hear that. I'm so good at being transparent, so good at being transparent, so bad at being vulnerable.
Yeah. I'm going to bring it back to a Justin Bieber quote again, you guys. I'm sorry, but I have to do it. So there was a new song that he just released, and this one line hit me right here in the heart. For those just listening, I'm motioning to my heart. But it really got me. He said, show me the darkest parts of your heart, and I'm not going to run. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, ooh. There's just so much there, and it relates so much to what we're saying. And like, there are people who are trustworthy, and like, oh my gosh, it's even kind of hard to say that, right? But it's like, it's so true that there are people that are trustworthy enough to show that. And Mariah, like you've said, like you've been burned before, like I have too, and I have experienced times where I have been really vulnerable with people or just been going through hard times, and the way that I was treated was not helpful and wasn't okay, and made me just like bunch up, like kind of tense up and not let people in as much. Because I'm just like, well, I can't really trust people, even people who I may have thought I could before. But now that was a while ago, and now I've learned so much about that, and just being able to kind of vet out things a little bit more and just see how relationships are going and see how I'm being too. And, that it is something with me as well to grow in, to learn that I can trust certain people. I can trust people, and I can let that guard down more, and there's strength in vulnerability. It's really hard, but it is strength. And there really are beautiful, like such beautiful things that come from it, right? Like you have to take that risk of being vulnerable in order to have that closeness and connection there. And so, yeah, like show me the darkest parts of your heart. I'm not going to run. It's like, wow, like would you really not run? Like certain people, it's like, would you really, if I said it all, if I said, this, that, and the other, like you're really not going to run. And yes, there are people like that. And that is true love. And like that's Jesus's love for us, right? That's true love. And there are people that will do that. Of course, it is, like you said, maybe we're all kind of saying this at one point, but like you kind of see who will do that and who might not, who's just not, ready to come into that castle, but yeah, there are people that will, and that is freaking awesome. Like that, it means so much and so good.
I think something that is really important too is to just like pray for discernment. If you're feeling like you want to be vulnerable with somebody that you haven't been vulnerable with yet, you just got to pray for discernment and wisdom, and God will give it to you if you ask him. And trust is earned, and so I think it's important to look at people's actions before being totally open with them, but also remember, as my man Harry Styles once said, he said this in an interview one time, that true friendship is born of vulnerability. So, you have to do it at some point.
Even if like, it's also good to pray, I feel like, to just roll with the punches, however the person will take what you're trying to be vulnerable about. Because like you can't just have expectation of how they will perceive it or whatever. Like at least you get it out there and just try to be comfortable with their reaction no matter what it is. Because I feel like that's a missing link to us just being vulnerable and having connection, is just being okay with them not being okay with what you say. And you just being like, okay, I said what I said, and that's it. That's what I did for myself. So.
Yeah.
I've thought about that before.
That's a really good point. That's so true. It's like you're okay no matter what. Like if this person is kind of going to go deeper in the relationship with you, like as you're being vulnerable, they are going to receive it well or they're not. And that's okay. Like it's not going to work out, like right now it's just not the time, but you see if it is or not. And you're doing it yourself. Like you're growing and doing that, practicing vulnerability yourself and knowing that you're okay. You really are okay no matter what happens because God has you and you're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I think we get caught up as humans is like we let rejection like be our like roadblock, and it doesn't have to be. I know, especially in like romantic relationships or like the people pursuing people, they get rejected. They're like, okay, I'm done for, blah blah blah, get all depressed and stuff. But like I think we do that also a lot in life. It's like we just let rejection stop us from flourishing, and like. And I'm saying this, but like that stuff stops me too. Like I need to work on that too. But like it shouldn't. If we feel like we're comfortable with what we're wanting to say to people, we shouldn't allow their reaction to stop us from flourishing. Like it's not fair to ourselves. Yeah.
What'd you say, Mariah?
I said I'm writing that down. Rejection.
Oh yeah.
From flourishing, or the fear of rejection stops us from flourishing.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really good.
So I would say for 4s, or at least for me, I am my own worst enemy. So I have trouble trusting myself with myself. So what the work for me has been is to be kind to myself and to be a safe place to come home to for myself.
Oh my God.
And not feel that I am coming home to someone who's going to reject me. Like that's what it's like to be in an unhealthy place. I think as a 4 is you're not even a safe person to come home to for yourself.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to cry.
Oh
no.
I've been doing a lot of work. I'm good. I'm much better than I was with this. I go to counseling and I have, Abby, who's been awesome, helping me through a lot of that, self-rejection, self-deprecation, feeling defective and punishing myself for that. And just recognizing like that is not how God sees us. That is not how God wants us to treat ourselves. He created me. He created you. He created us all to be, like you said, flourishing, thriving, people that we are valuing and honoring and taking care of. And, you you are fully worth taking care of
Mhm.
yourself. And so that's where I need to really be taking care of myself, is remembering to be kind to the inner child inside of me that is still doubting who I am, doubting that I'm worth, taking care of, and parenting her and saying, it's okay now. You are not lost. You are not defective. You are not what you've believed, and this is the truth. And like, come at it with scripture and come at it with the truth of who God says we are. I love this scripture in Romans 3. The Spirit himself bears witness with our spirit that we are children of God. Like, remembering that truth is so, so powerful for me. So I think holding on to truth and self-talk in a compassionate way is really, really key for me.
Mhm.
It's a lot of practice too.
Yeah, still working on it.
Yeah,
Still working
yeah,
on
sure.
it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm. This is such good stuff, you guys. Like, we're on fire tonight.
Should we do a part 2? Because I know we have a lot of other questions.
Yes, we should.